welcome. I hope you enjoy my channel. If you're enjoying it, please take the time to like, subscribe, follow. Well, let me get into what I want to talk about today. In Luke 16, Jesus is talking about the unjust steward, who is a man who works for another man and he hasn't been faithful in his financial responsibility. So he gets fired. But what this guy does is kind of smart. In other words, I'm going to read it to you in Luke 16:9. What he does is he says, he gets his boss's creditors and he says, "How much do you owe my master?" And the guy said, 100 measures of oil. So he said to him, "Take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. And he does that with all his boss's creditors. He lets them settle their account for much less. And when the master hears this, I'm going to read it in verse 8. So the master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. And so what Jesus says, he says something that's very kind of cool. He says, "And I say to you, make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon, that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home." And then he goes on to say, "He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much." And basically he says, if you can't be trusted with money, he is never going to trust you with anything more important. So what we get here is that money is just a test. Mammon is money. And what Jesus said, and this is the part I want to zero in on, is make friends with money. And I think he made it very clear when he said that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. Well, any friends you can make with money don't have the ability to receive you into eternity. Only God has that ability. So what Jesus is saying is take your money, which is a test anyhow, and make friends with God using that money. That when the time comes, there'll be a place for you in eternity. Now, how do you make friends? Now, I want to make this clear. You can't buy your way into heaven. That's not what he's saying. But what he is saying is those that are wise use the money that they've been given to, number one, honor God. And I believe this from the bottom of my heart, both when I lived off the tithes and now that I don't, I still tithe because I believe that the first of your money goes to the house of God where you're blessed, where you're fed. But secondly, I believe we're to take that money and we need to bless the members of our house, the people that we call family. But thirdly, and I think this is very important, we need to take that money and we need to be generous with others who have no ability to pay us back. And that's called alms, A-L-M-S. And I believe that as you show yourself generous, both to the Lord, both to those that are related to you, and both that can never pay you back for your generosity. What you're doing is you're taking something that's called mammon or money, and you're making eternal friends, and the time will come where your reward in heaven will be great. Well, this is just something to think about. I'm Pastor Rick. Remember, with Jesus, there's always hope, there's always love. God bless you. I'll see you soon.